So my name is Dr. Faizu Edu. I am highly delighted to be here this morning. Our paper is prepared by 3 scholars. Unfortunately, only myself is here today. So, and this is part of the topic I brought to you today, insecurity. You know, some of my colleagues, they are senior colleagues, they don't want to risk coming to the US now because of what is going on around the world. So I took the risk to come because I am still young, and I believe that yes, life is all about risk. Thank you so much. So this is my colleague's name. My name is Dr. Faizu. Like I said, I'm a senior lecturer academic quality from Regent College, London. So my colleagues are Professor Cletus is also a dean, and also Professor Sydney. So now I'm going to talk about insecurity, economic development, and migration. So now, what is this topic all about? As we can see and witnessing now around the world. So the study critically examined insecurity. What is insecurity? Insecurity, I'm going to look at the definition as we go on. But also, before I, dive into this discussion, I want to take from Dr. Data, who talk about security and trust. This is my second time of presenting in this, with this organization. So my first presentation was last year, and I was able to meet with some other colleagues based on my paper. So my paper attracted 2 of those colleagues of mine who we work together. And now today, I'm going to talk about the insecurity migration. So now, what is insecurity? Insecurity, according to different scholars, is about a situation where people are not safe. And when you look at what is his name? What is this name? We'll talk about psychology of need. That is Abraham Maslow. We'll talk about psychology of need. He specifically mentioned about security, which is part of the most important thing I'm going to discuss. Now, going forward, the research aim and objective for this topic is we want to look at insecurity, migration, and economic development on a multipolar world, and how to mitigate against this effect on enhanced growth and stability. Also, we critically analyze and examine the impact that insecurity, migration, and economic development might have on multipolar world, and assess the extent to how this can be discussed. Now, finally, to critically review the effect. What are the effects of insecurity? Like Dr. Tata mentioned in the beginning, look at this conference today. He said that today is this conference is the least where people participate. Why? Because insecurity. A lot of people are thinking about, what is going on in the US, in Iran, and all over the world. So even myself, when I wanted to come to this conference, my wife was saying that, are you sure everything is going to be all right? And I said, that's fine. I said, well, we have to take risk because this is part of, my academic career. And that is why the rest of my colleagues couldn't come because, they are old school. I am still in new school. So now, we dive into different type of literature, to look into different definitions of especially insecurity, economic development, and migration. My own area focuses on economic development, and we have 3 topics: the insecurity, the economic development, and the migration. So we splitted this topic into 3, and that's why each and every one of us focus on a particular one. But since they were not here, I will talk on their behalf. So when you talk about migration, so different people migrate on different purposes, and the major ones are, number 1, people migrate for good health, people migrate for economic development, and so on and so forth. So, and also for skill acquisition. So when you talk about economic development, in other words, Economic development is like, when a country is looking for how to develop their economic system. So in terms of, financial development, economic development, security development, and so on and so forth. So we look into different definitions of those three major topics, and that is what we came out from the literature. Now, these studies use, we adopted descriptive design and exploratory systems. So where we compare and contrast different definitions, different studies on this particular topic. So we come out with different, of course, different interpretation of migration, why people migrate, and different interpretation of economic development as well, and also insecurity. Now, I will take them one by one. When you look at NATO and BRICS, I'm going to talk about this later on in the presentation. So we have these two powerful organizations, NATO. NATO have about 32 different countries, which I am going to talk if time permits me. Then we have the BRICS. The BRICS is also comprises about 5 different nations. So these two bodies have two different opinion, agenda, and philosophy. And looking at them one by one, NATO is always based on security, to protect the security of member nations. So if you don't share their belief, their philosophy, they will not accept you into that body. Whereas on the other hand, we have the BRICS. The BRICS is also looking into this is comprises of 5 different nations, which South Africa joined lately. So what is the intention of this organization is to look into economic development of the member states, of the member nations. So now when you compare these two organizations, the NATO, the BRICS, they have two different agenda, 2 different philosophy, like I said. So now bringing this into the topic, insecurity, economic development, and migration. So we will now discover that, like I said earlier on, people migrate for different purposes and different reasons. Also, countries also accept people based on different ideologies. Sometimes they can, accept you based on, maybe if there is insecurity in your country and you are seeking for asylum, or if you are looking for skill acquisition or skill development, they can, accept you based on the immigration policy of different countries, especially like US now. Everybody knows what is going on. Moving forward, so we look at different, these two organizations, NATO and BRICS. So what this is showing us is that looking at NATO, like I said earlier on, their philosophy is to protect and, by using military forces, like what is going on now. And I think this is the first time NATO will not go along with United States of America in terms of war. Look at what is happening in Iran presently. I think other members of NATO countries didn't support US to join US in Iran war, but that is not what we are looking for now. Maybe this will call for another research on this paper. Now, each country in NATO let us look at their GDP and export of BRICS countries. So there are 2 things. We look at the GDP of NATO nations, and which India is the highest, in terms of population. So 18% of the world population, comprises of India. And, when you look at the table just like that, I think the US is about 4%. And in total, we have 26% of GDP, coming from NATO nation. On the other hand, when you look at the BRICS, like I said earlier on, BRICS comprises about 5 different nations: Brazil, South Africa, and so on and so forth. So what is the mission of NATO and BRICS? I think I've mentioned this earlier on. Again, NATO is to provide military alliance or military, sort of support to member nations. Whereas BRICS is to provide economic cooperation for member nations. So formation, in terms of formation, I think NATO was created in 1949, whereas BRICS was formed in 2006 and extended in 2012, 10 and 2024, where new country joined the BRICS. Now, in terms of membership, I think 32 countries from NATO and then 11 countries from the BRICS. And in terms of their GDP, as you can see from the table, in terms of population, we have 952.7 million and 3.3 billion in terms of BRICS. So these are the tables. We can now go through to the next. So in terms of discussion, in conclusion, so insecurity, migration, and economic development are intertwined. They are both intertwined, because what will lead to insecurity is that if the country is not settled in terms of, it could be in terms of war, it could be in terms of food insecurity, social insecurity. So then what is going to happen next is migration. So people want to migrate from, within their country or even within the same country. People migrate for all these reasons. If your county or your country is, your state is not safe, you want to move to another state or to another county for safety. So that is what that is telling us. Then next in is economic development. So how does migration affect economic development? This migration affects economic development in both negative and positive. So when you look at where the people are migrating from to where they are migrating to. So in terms of skill, people migrate for skill acquisition, and people migrate for insecurity, either economic insecurity, food insecurity, and so on and so forth. So what happens to the country they migrated to? Are they contributing to that country's GDP, or they just want to migrate? So these are also subjects to debate or subject for future research. So limitation, it was reviewed. This paper was reviewed and critically analyzed geopolitical perspective as opposed to regional or national dimension. So we compare these two blocks, these two organizations, NATO and BRICS. Like I said earlier on, they have different ideologies. So can they come together to work together in terms of economic, maybe NATO can look into economic development, and BRICS can also look into security. So those are the areas that we'll look at. So yes, I think that's all about the discussion so far. Then let's go to, so in terms of NATO, like I said, NATO remains the stronger military alliance, whereas BRICS is fast becoming a rising global coalition, in terms of economic development. So those two nations should look into how to collaborate together to let us have peace in the world. So the findings so far is that we find out that insecurity negatively affects economic development, which is obvious, like we can see today, as according to what the organizer of this conference said in the beginning. So another thing is the effect of migration was inconsistent and crucial in economic development. Also, I have mentioned this earlier on that migration, people migrate for different reasons, different purposes, etc., etc. So the last one, there is uncertainty whether the two blocks could agree to cooperate in critical areas. So we are still looking for a situation where both, organizations could look into how to collaborate, how to make sure that they work in, hand in hand. So lastly, and I think that is the end of the presentation. So thank you so much.